This is my audience. Statistics from Pew Research Center state 65% of adults now use social networking sites, a nearly tenfold jump in the past decade. This is a graph of all American adults and internets using social media from 2005 to 2014. While most people are very familiar with all social media sites, they're probably not very familiar with the way it's changing our lives. Jenny Kuta, a valued contributor for Business to Community, claims that many introverts and socially reclusive users place too much emphasis on virtual interaction and ignore the real world outside. After spending time researching this topic, I found supportive information from many sources. While social media may have many positive and helpful uses, the downfalls may outweigh them. I plan to demonstrate my opinion on this topic by discussing how people create false images of themselves, how there is a small need for broadcasting networks, and how communication skills are drastically decreasing. It is because of social media that people have mastered the skill of creating misleading self-images of themselves. People care so much about what other people think of them, and social media is a big reason why. Honor Whiteman, a writer for Medical News Today with a strong journalism experience, wrote, "What is interesting is that the researchers found that people who are more anxious and socially insecure are more likely to use the social networking site. Popular sites such as Instagram and Facebook create profiles for the users, of which displays mostly edited pictures in today's society. These further attempt to make them look perfect and create an idea of a happy life." Marilyn Price Mitchell, author and developmental psychologist, stated that we all develop this perfect image of ourselves, and some of us actually try to rely on this imaginative thought we have of ourselves instead of staying true to who we are. We only post the things that we're happy doing and cover the cloud of bad times that appear in our life. Someone can spend 10% of their life miserable, or 10% of their life happy, and the rest miserable, but a follower on social media would never know that. Another example is people editing themselves to make them look really thin in a picture, when in real life that's not the case. If a person were to meet a follower on social media in person, they would see a physically completely different person. To say the least, it is completely normal to find edited and misleading self-images on people's social media profiles. The next downfall that impacts our society is the diminished need for broadcasting networks such as ESPN. Among the variety of different social media networks, Snapchat and Twitter are at the top of the list. These two apps allow a person to snap or tweet every second of their life and broadcast this information to friends. This includes sharing popular information that happens around the world as well. In the last couple of months, Snapchat has come out with something new that is visible for everyone around the world to see. They have invented a story for popular events such as the College World Series or the NBA Finals. It allows anyone who is at the event to publish it to their story, and anyone around the world can see it, even if they're not friends. This type of invention is just one of the many ways social media is impacting our broadcasting networks. Another example is that some UFC fights have to be purchased in order to watch on television, unless you pay to get into a certain bar or restaurant. However, because people update Snapchat and Twitter so frequently, there was a case that the results got out before ESPN could even broadcast who won the next day. Jason Fry, a writer for ESPN, states that Twitter is changing how ESPN's reporters and personalities break news and talk to fans, the relationship they have with their employer, and how ESPN manages its brand. By doing stuff like this, it is diminishing the jobs of many people, and one day we may not even need these broadcasting networks. My last point is that face-to-face communication has drastically decreased. Because people rely so heavily upon communicating on social media or by text messaging, some forget what it's even like to talk to someone in person. It seems that parents are giving their children phones at such a young age, which allows them to grow up using this source rather than talking to someone face-to-face or calling someone rather than texting them. Furthermore, the reliance on social media could be the reason that people feel awkward and uncomfortable when they're around someone in person. Maybe they're used to direct messaging them on Twitter or talking back and forth on Facebook. The main point is that people are getting too comfortable with this method, and it's becoming a norm, which is hurting their skills in communication. For example, walk into a party or a large gathering, and I can promise you that half the people there will either have their phone in their hand, and the other half will be using their phone. I have actually a picture. These are 4 guys at a bar, and every single one of them has a phone in their hand. This is what you see when you go places today. The interaction between people in today's society is terrible. James Folks, a writer for USA Today College, said it best. As more generations are born into the social age, social media will continue to be the favored communication form among young people. However, this shift may begin to affect their ability to properly communicate in person with peers. Social media is a great way to keep up with people and fix boredom, but it's on its way down a bad path in today's society. It's taking away from certain businesses, changing the way people look at themselves, and causing communication skills to diminish. I hope that this information has opened your eyes to what's going on around us, because it's time we start paying attention to these issues to prevent a future rule by social media.